I am Captain Spawn, and this is day 326 of Spawn Year. I have been dreading this issue for months, knowing that this protagonist, who I was expected to root for and hope to see make the best of his life after death for 16 years of production history, ultimately takes the easy way out. That's what he headed off to do at the end of the last issue, and I have no earthly idea what he expects to accomplish. He said something about Maman still wanting him and needing to end it, but Maman has what he wants now. Marana is bonded to the Spawn costume. They're trapped in a mystical cocoon right now, but surely that won't last. It's played almost like a noble sacrifice, although there is an undercurrent of dark uncertainty, as if Al took his own life with the best of intentions because everything he's done besides restoring the Earth has led to pain and suffering, only for his final act to perhaps have the very same effect. We know now that Al's entire life has been a sham, that Maman has always been in control, and that he has never had any choice in anything he's ever done, except here, when he, separated from the costume, finally takes his own life. Honestly, I wouldn't be altogether surprised to find Maman plan that too. He recommends it when Spawn's fighting gooey astral projection boy, and Spawn falls for it like a trout on a hook. Then it's summarily dismissed up until now. It is remarkably awkward because I have no idea if Maman's taunts about suicide are related to this, or if the two events are completely unrelated, since Al doesn't give any sort of explanation as to why he's so determined to do this. Ironically, it's the most certain and unwavering Spawn has ever been about anything. He finally becomes totally proactive, and it's to go blow his own head off. And of course, how many times has he thought about or even attempted doing himself in? He only brought the world back because the person he's made responsible for representing the only humanity in him is in it. If he had known all he had to do was yank out that wedding ring and he'd be mortal enough to kill himself, there wouldn't have been anyone to remake the Earth after Armageddon. So let me break down what this story really is. It's the tale of a really depressed action figure. The toys are more true to their fictional models than any toys in history. Spawn can't do anything of his own accord. Everything he does is preordained by a more powerful force. A lot of interactions he can't even comprehend while they're happening, and all he can do is look fabulously mysterious and brood a lot and feel guilty until he finally discovers he was bred to be this awful nightmare and do the world a favor and take himself out of the equation. This has been the 16-year-long saga of a man who was never really a man, even when he was human. And it's supposed to be sad and tragic, and I'm supposed to contemplate fate and free will and wonder if anything any of us does matters, or if we're all just pieces on a chessboard moved around for somebody else's amusement. But A, clearly the book didn't know that's what Al was until quite recently. And B, that story shouldn't take 16 years to tell. How's that for rewarding Spawn fans for sticking around all this time? The character you've, for some unfathomable reason, remained invested in all this time was a complete non-entity, and that redemption you were hoping for never happens because he was screwed from birth, and the best idea he ever had, rather than trying to prove he's more than the sum of his parts, is to die. Because the bottom line is, he did have a choice. Maman is fallible because he didn't see the binding spell coming or the apocalypse, which he seemed bummed out about because God and Satan got around to their end of the world before his, and Spawn was given infinity status by the creator of the cosmos, which he could do anything with, and Maman didn't account for that either. So even though McFarlane has rendered him nothing more than a toy with a self-destruct button, Spawn had the potential to be more than that. And the real tragedy is, nobody wrote him with a brain in his head so he could try to fight destiny and be more than he is. Spawn has always been a quitter, and not because of 6,000 souls in his head, or because he was born evil, or because Maman programmed him that way. Those are all excuses in hindsight. Spawn is a quitter because McFarlane wants the reader to see him as tragic, flawed, and damaged. but what he really is a blank slate that's constantly being written on, erased, and written on again. And when no one landed on the definitive mathematical formula for who Spawn should be, McFarlane took the chalkboard over his knee and he snapped it in half. One of the ads for this new arc, in the game, says that McFarlane is the king and his hand is on every piece, and that is not a metaphor. That ad perfectly illustrates everything that's wrong with this book and why Al Simmons has never been a sympathetic or real character. The issue establishes a new protagonist, known so far only as Patient 47, and I fully expect him in the next issue to shave his head, revealing a barcode in the back, and put on a bright red tie and start assassinating people. And that would be a much fresher direction than what it looks like I'm in store for. It's another amnesia/coma mystery, another complicated setup for what's almost certainly the origin of our next Spawn, and we're back to that dull, drawn-out expository dialogue where nameless people say lots of unnecessary words until you get to the dramatic last panel. All that happens is 47 wakes up from a coma, yells, "Son!" I hope that wasn't the name of his wife. A bunch of doctors freak out, and some guy commits suicide over it, no doubt to foreshadow Spawn's headless, oozing corpse, which Clown finds in the alley on the last page. Spawn was able to die because he was in a dead zone. We have a new artist along with the returning writers, Wiles Portacio, and his art is even less flashy, grittier, and more pencil-y than Haberlin's was. It's decent, but the book is still not the understated, intelligent horror mystery comic it thinks it is. If we're starting over with a new character, why couldn't we have just started over with Al from scratch when we have the chance? Better yet, why can't it just admit there's no story here and put itself out of its misery? Signed, Captain Spawn.
Captain Logan. Captain Spawn. In a few precious days, I will be gone, and with me goes your reason. Soon, there will be no hope left for all of us. Nothing but this accursed place will remain. Inside this barrel is a single Coca-Cola laden bullet. By the established rules of this world, when you pull the trigger and it goes through your cranium and into your brain, you will be finished here. I know all that you are, everything you have ever felt, and I know your greatest fear is to truly become Spawn. But that is not who you are. Al Simmons cowardly took his own life. He refused to live. But you must live your life by doing this. It is the only way. I can't promise you what your real life holds, that it will be any easier there than it is here. But you have a potential for a future there. Do the right thing. Be reasonable.